What's going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Thursday, February 1st. We are definitively live on YouTube, and we may or may not be live over on Instagram as well. There are some technical difficulties, but I'm getting the thumbs up from one of my co-hosts over here, so I'm feeling good about it. Either way, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to get into AEW Dynamite, and as usual, it's Throwback Thursday. We're going to get into Throwback. Can't wait for it. First, I got to introduce, of course, my two esteemed every Thursday co-hosts. Let me send it out to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, that is, for our head of opinions, Anthony Ricciardi. Did I get it right? I did.
I'm glad you distinguished Pennsylvania, because I don't want people thinking it's Mississippi. But yeah, I appreciate that, Clark.
There's a couple Phillies.
Yeah. So, Dynamite happened last night. I think based on the pre-show conversation, Shad and I may be shining up a shovel or two. And we have an explosive throwback topic, so it should be a fun show.
We've got an exploding throwback topic, as Anthony mentioned, and Dynamite also did definitively happen. I got to send this one also out to, way to spoil it with Shad on me, Anthony, here. But the DMV Tuesday Night Delight himself in the building on a Thursday. Shad, how you doing?
Throw them twos up, baby. I'm good, man. It's your favorite battle rapper / podcaster. I'm sorry, DNA and Attitude Podcast. They love me a little bit more than love you. But I'm here, bro. Max Caster, let's battle, bro. I want to battle Max Caster after yesterday. I heard his rhymes, and I feel like I'm significantly better. So I challenge Max Caster to a rap battle. But other than that, I'm good, man. I'm ready to talk about AEW Dynamite. I'm ready to talk about the throwback topic, which is really good. Let's get into it.
I mean, I love the intro. I'm ready to get into it. We had an explosive Dynamite last night, or maybe not. I guess we have shovels being shined up. Let's be careful here.
Yeah, I had to get mine out the shed, so
this is gonna be a good one. I don't know. We had Swerve and Hangman both in Dealer's Choice matches. This card was billed as Dealer's Choice. While on this channel, we often complain about random booking. Dealer's Choice would imply random booking. And I was personally delighted by both matches. I want to hear complaints first. Let's start with the bad news. Good news, bad news. Let's start with the bad news. Anthony, what did you see wrong in Swerve and Hangman out of the gates?
Oh, this isn't the one for the shovel. This is not the shovel one.
Okay.
That's coming along. That's not this.
It's later.
Yeah, it is later. Soon, matter of fact. So for me, I enjoyed the Hangman match more. I was not entirely. I mean, I know he's mostly in Ring of Honor and I think Collision tag matches, but I really loved the matchup with Hangman because it was hard hitting. I thought it was a really good showcase on especially his opponent, Teo. Am I pronouncing that?
Toleona.
Teo, yeah. I thought it was a really good showcase. I thought the match ended a bit abruptly. That would be the only
sort of crucifix.
Yeah, the only potential. Yeah, I thought it was kind of like quick. Which I mean, it can happen, so it's fine. But I thought it was just a kind of too quick of a sudden ending for the type of match that it was. I thought it was a very strong opener. As far as Swerve and RVD, RVD continues to amaze, considering his age and what he's still able to do. I mean, it's not the RVD of the late 90s. No one's the same as they were in the late 90s, but RVD can still go. And I will get into that in the next topic of who can't. But I thought this was a solid match, hardcore style, which is RVD's specialty, Mr. Extreme. So I thought it was a good match. You knew both Swerve and Hangman were going to go over. I mean, I thought they, the chances were that they were going over. Obviously they've made the announcement of their third matchup that's going to happen. I am questioning a little bit of it being on cable TV only because considering how violent their last encounter was. Like if people are expecting more of the same, I don't think they can get that violent on TBS. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's going to be as violent. And quite frankly, I think Swerve should go over. I think Swerve should sweep this thing. Even if Hangman won, Swerve still ahead 2-0. So like, did Hangman really win the feud if he only won
Right.
3? So I would have Swerve go over because I think Swerve needs it more. Hangman's a former world champion. I don't think Hangman really needs this as much as Swerve would. So that's my thoughts on that.
I totally hear you there, and I apologize, by the way, for sending that to you. I wasn't sure if complaints were going to be levied across the board on the show. It's also bad broadcasting on my part. I didn't say the results of the matches, and I appreciate you doing so as well. We did have Hangman Page going over via crucifix against Toa Leona in that one, and then we had Swerve Strickland via Swerve Stomp in the main event of the evening. I ask you, similar sentiments to Anthony as far as this tournament. It seems like collision course, Swerve Hangman. We're
For
headed
sure.
there. Is
For
that how you're
sure.
feeling?
No, for sure. So here's my thing. I enjoyed both of these matches in totality. I had no issues with both choices from the dealers. It makes sense in regards to Swerve. You pick someone from your faction, you pick one of your heavies. You give an opportunity for Toa Leona. I think he looked really good. I really enjoyed that match. I like, to Anthony's point, very hard hitting. He looked good in singles action, and it's an opportunity to get the AEW audience more tied into him. It's one of those cases where it's like they're good as a tag team, but there's something about this individual where he has a presence and opportunity to shine as a single superstar. So I thought it was a great match. RVD and Swerve, come on, bro. You're not gonna sell me anything short of being excited for that match. Rob Van Dam is the best old man last night. He had a very fun hardcore match. I love the no pun intended swerve on swerve with it being a hardcore match from Hangman Adam Page and Swerve overcoming. I said it yesterday. These last 2 weeks have been the Swerve getting out his fantasy childhood matches. He got an opportunity to fight Jeff Hardy last week. He's getting RVD this week. I know Swerve is around my age. He grew up watching these guys as a child, as a teenager, and being able to mix it up in the ring with them must mean the most to him. And Swerve Strickland is the best AEW wrestler on the entire roster. I will always say that every week y'all allow me to talk about him on this show. Um, Going into their feud and continuing to round three, the rubber match that will occur, I'm excited for it. I think these guys had arguably one of the best feuds last year. They had the match of the year rated by Wrestling Republic and all the great podcasters and writers on it. And it's going to be a great match and a great end off. How I would end it off, I agree with Anthony, man. You got to end it off with Swerve. And I say that off of 2 points. One, I think Swerve is the hotter name at the moment. I think he's the more viable contender for Samoa Joe. And I don't think Samoa Joe needs to have a long title reign. I think that title belongs to Swerve Strickland. I think it has more benefit on Swerve's waist because he is the marquee name. He's the person that fans love and adore. He's the guy that can carry the company if you allow him to carry it. On the contrary to Hangman Adam Page, I think he can add a nice twist to it. I think you can drive him crazy. I think you can see him go on a killer spree trying to get to it. And for them, maybe down the road, whether it be 6 months to a year, get back to that fight. Whether you even have Hangman go heel in a sense, similar to what we see with Drew McIntyre. Like I think it could be a strong suit for it. So I'm excited to see the payoff for it. I think that was the highlight of the entire show. I think the dealer choice matches were great. And yeah, man, I'm excited for it all.
I am too, and I agree with you. I think Swerve Strickland is the future for this company, at least in the time being. And we talk about the pillars all the time. If we don't talk about Swerve Strickland and Hangman Page, I don't know what we're talking about. Those two, in my eyes, that rivalry, I could watch for a long time.
Man,
And if we
you know,
start
you know,
putting title around it,
hmm
man,
you have to think about it like this. Like Swerve is a name that was signed from the rival brand from WWE. But I swear to you, dude, I think he's the most beneficial signing that Tony has made from WWE. Like when you think about it, he may have not be the marquee name of what an Adam Copeland is or a Adam Cole is, but you see how undervalued and how underutilized he was in WWE, and you see how much he's flourished and blossomed on AEW. That is a blessing in disguise and a great signing by TK.
and what I would add to that that's even more insane to me is so I was at All Out 22, right? I was in the second row. I was in a great spot, unbelievable seats for the night that the Acclaimed was basically made, right? And they entered that match as heels against Swerve and Keith Lee. And that night, entering that night, we didn't know what to think of Swerve. We thought we were getting Keith Lee from NXT, the best version of Keith Lee, and that was the big ticket in the tag team title picture at that point. And the crowd got behind the Acclaimed. Where he's actually responded from there. So, I mean, what's more impressive to me, even about Swerve, to your point, is it's not like he came into immediately greener pastures, immediately better. He jumped right into the
Yeah,
rapids and
he had
worked his
he had
way
to fight.
out to the
Yeah,
calmer, better
hmm
waters. And that's the coolest part about it. The Swerve run, in my eyes, is, I mean, we at one point were, remember, teaming him with Keith Lee as the second guy. And from there, and don't get me wrong, I'm a Keith Lee fan myself. This is no knock on Keith Lee.
no, he's jumped him. He's jumped
Yeah,
over what we thought was gonna happen.
yeah.
For hun-
Simply put, we've looked for the last year and a half, and Swerve Strickland is the answer to a lot of questions.
Bro, I'll tell you this, Clark. I feel I've been following Shane Strickland for a while, man. I thought he had a beautiful indie run prior to him signing with NXT. And even when he got to NXT, prior to him being on a hit row, I love the character work. Him as like a mad scientist when he had his
Yes.
feud with Leon Ruff and whatnot. Like the guy just is so good, man. And like salute to a goat in Shawn Michaels. Like he saw the genius and beauty of what Swerve Strickland can be, and it's very reminiscent of a lot of like you know mastermind aspects of what HBK does. Like he's got it all, man. Like I don't I can't toot his toot his horn more than he needs to, bro. Like he's
I'm with
really
you.
that
It's one of
special.
those. Even in hindsight, it kind of looks like he gave Rick Ross the rub and not the other way around. Just saying.
Yeah,
It's Swerve, the role he's been on, the work he's put in, the character work, everything lands. It's nearly impossible to criticize him, and that's what's so impressive. Is he just he found a different gear, and I don't know exactly how or where he found it, but he did, and to the moon in my eyes, without question, is the only route for Swerve Strickland at this point, or Shane Strickland, Swerve Scott, whatever you'd like to call him these days.
swerve, swerve.
100%. Bobby's in agreement here with Swerve Strickland is great. Bobby Petito, shout out, thank you for tuning in as always. Over on Instagram, we got Coach 23 with a double turn needs to happen between Swerve and Hangman. I don't even know if it's necessary. They're kind of both tweeners to me now. Like,
Yeah,
I
they
think we
are.
can just keep leading towards tweener territory and just have that fight and let it divide the crowd and I don't think it matters as long as the anticipation's high.
The
Now, I know
the
that's a
thing
risky
is the
thing.
fact that Swerve is just so over though,
It
and
is.
but see, this is
Hangman
my
is too, man.
he is over, but he's not over as Swerve right now.
Not right this second.
But see, this is the thing, and this is why I don't have an issue with it, and I don't have an issue with it in the construct of wrestling and whatnot. Fans are gonna root for who fans like, and they're gonna like them and appreciate them for the character they are. I don't think we need to have as stereotypical baby faces and heels
I
like
don't
how we
mind
have had
tweener
in the
territory as long as the story's
yeah.
good.
I mean, Stone Cold is like
Yeah.
one of the greatest of all time, and he's like, just I'm gonna beat you up if I don't like you, kind of.
He broke enough rules to be a babyface. Add
Exactly.
that one up in your pocketbook. It's not easy. It's there are unique times where sometimes being bad is good, right? Like I think there's great movies where the good guy is sometimes not the greatest morally. That right, like the classic, the
Yeah.
outlaw is the. I mean, Ocean's 11. I would point to is an easy one,
That's a good
right?
point. That's a great
We're
movie
all
too.
rooting for the robbers,
Yeah, we were.
and that's okay sometimes.
Breaking Bad.
Um,
Breaking
Breaking
Bad
Bad.
too.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yep.
Anthony, spot on there. Yes.
That's nice.
It happens more often than, I think wrestling has allowed it to so far. And that's some territory we haven't explored, I think, in wrestling that we've explored a lot of different narratives. We haven't explored that one all the way. And something like the Swerve Hangman, maybe where you're not really sure if who's the babyface or the heel, but you just want to see him fight.
Yeah.
That
That's not.
signed me up. Okay, let's move on to our next topic though. We've got John Moxley versus Jeff Hardy. And look, I get it, Jeff Hardy. He's broken. He's broken down physically. It's a completely different Jeff Hardy than we're used to, but I thought this was his best effort in a singles match since he's debuted on AEW. However, is it the Jeff Hardy we're used to? No. Expectations wise, does it disappoint? Not quite. I thought it was good enough for what it was. I don't know exactly what to do with Jeff Hardy to refresh him personally. And that's where I would ask you, Anthony, because he obviously does deserve a place on the roster if he wants to work. As a legend, I think he's earned that. Do you think that there is a route for some sort of sorry, we got a cameo here from Sean's cat, but shout out Sean's cat. But is there a spot for Jeff Hardy to get back in the fans' good graces and be the babyface we know he can be?
Here's the problem, and this is part shovel, not full shovel, but it hurts me to see Jeff Hardy now. Because, Clark, you know as well as I do, we were watching during the rise of the Hardys. From the jobbers that were, he was jobbing the RVD during the ECW invasion on Raw, to the rise of the TLC with Edge, Christian, and the Dudleys. We've seen Jeff at his peak, and Jeff was always high risk. I don't like watching Jeff now. I'll always be a Jeff Hardy fan, absolutely. But it's like watching, a great athlete past their prime. And I think what hurts Jeff is a lot of the stuff outside the ring. Jeff has had run-ins with the law, and I think that has tainted a lot of fans' views of him, especially the last one. So I think, and they've seen his botches in the ring. Granted, it wasn't in this one. This is probably one of his better of his performances, but it's not. It's not RVD even. RVD could still kind of go. When we saw Jeff take on Swerve last week, Swerve was kind of carrying him through it. So this is one of those situations where they're doing this turn thing. I want to care, but I really don't. Like, I kind of feel like they should be winding down. Like, Jeff should be really winding down at this point if you want to do like a farewell type thing, like or to end a career, if that's a direction this is going, fine. But I don't think it's that. I think they're sticking the Hardys out there for a nostalgia act to try to bring fans in because they are struggling with tickets in a lot of the venues, including last night. And I feel like they're sticking them out like circus performers, like just to, like, oh, you remember the Hardys, you love the Hardys. I don't really feel like there's a direction, and I want to be wrong. I would love to see one last good run with the Hardys. I just don't think that's in the cards. I feel like they're just kind of throwing them out there, and I want to care. I really do, because of all the years that I've watched them. That I just don't think it's there, and that's that. It saddens me to see them as a shell of their former glory.
I totally hear you, and it's very understandable. It's not the same, and not to like harken on other sports, but I just wish there was a spot like Vince Carter could still get you 13.
He's Vince Carter on the Pistons. I said it yesterday, bro.
He could get you 13 though off the bench. And if there was just a way that we could figure out,
I don't know about 13, Clark. I think he's giving you a solid 6.
11.
7.
11.
You're gonna knock 2 points off.
2 triples, 1 move to the bucket, and a foul, and then a nice little mid-range pull up. Come on, maybe a layup in transition. Give me 11 at least. It's Vince Carter. Now you're talking trash on Vince Carter. It's not even about me anymore.
Well, I said Tracy McGrady on the Pistons.
T-Mac on the Pistons was.
I mean, I'm not gonna say, bro. I don't. What I said yesterday on the pre-show to it, when Ben asked me about it, it doesn't. I predicted what it was. I thought this match was similar to last week's match. The fans are grading it lower on the scale because we like Jeff. We love Jeff,
it's a pity scale. A lot of fans are rating it on a pity scale.
I thought he did better though than expectations last night.
But if the bar's low,
expectations are high.
That's what I mean. We need to view him as the
guy. That is not fair, bro. We grade everyone on the same scale.
Because if he wants to work, he deserves to be able to work. He's earned that.
Would you say the same thing about Ric Flair?
No, he's 70,
bro. But still, he wants to work.
Coach 23. I'm not disrespecting T-Mac. T-Mac is one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, we're big T-Mac fans here.
2011, 2012, when he is far removed to his prime and is playing just because he has the itch to play. He wasn't giving you 11 or 13. He was giving you 6, 7 points at most.
I'm going to go wild here. The blue and white T-Mac 3s are the best Adidas basketball sneaker ever released. And this is not a show that's about that.
You were getting so
But I have to say that I'm dead serious.
But here's
That's my favorite sneaker ever made by Adidas, and they're outstanding.
He said the Hardys are opposite of Copeland and Cage. Edge and Christian
could still go.
Can still go. Their Edge is a very good wrestler still. Christian is still a very good wrestler. Now, the styles of what they've put wear and tear on their bodies, and Edge being out of wrestling for a while, I will cut Jeff a little slack on that.
Also, I have to give Coach 23 credit. He added De Niro in Heat earlier from the discussion about.
That
one got me good.
That'll be on the movie show that we eventually do. One last thing before
it's a variety show.
The one thing I do have to say is when you talk about the 3, Edge, Christian, the Dudleys, the Hardys, there is nobody in those matches that paid the price more than the Hardys.
100%. Yes, I couldn't agree more. Let's get into our next topic. We do have to finish the show here, guys. Unfortunately, let's talk. It's Chris Jericho. It's Kyle Fletcher, the artist formerly known as a member of Aussie Open. More like Aussie Closed these days. It's a singles run. But
here comes Shad Several.
We saw an interesting, Shad trying to shovel up. We got a Juice's effect off the top rope. I mean, that's what that was the finish, and Kyle Fletcher lost clean. Your thoughts on that match, Sean?
I don't like it, man. I think Chris Jericho is participating in some of the most selfish work that a person his age, that a person in his you know phase in his career could do. Kyle Fletcher is a person that has some sort of title around his belt. Kyle Fletcher is an up and coming star. Why position him in a loss to Chris Jericho? Why have Chris Jericho win? Why have Chris Jericho be in main stage feuds? I feel like we are so removed off of the initial aspect of when Chris Jericho was in AEW to where we are now. I find nothing, and I mean nothing, intriguing about Chris Jericho as a entertainer, a sports entertainer, and as well as a performer, man. Like there's nothing intriguing about him. We are force fed feuds with him constantly, and it's a reoccurring occurrence that we see him overcome people that are young and up and coming. I saw it with Ricky Starks. I saw it numerous times with Sammy Guevara. Konosuke Takeshita a little bit ago. This feud with the Callis family, nobody cares about. Kenny got hurt. Kenny's out. Let's end the feud there. Jericho, do something else. Do commentary. Be a coach. Be a person that comes once in a while. Be a novelty wrestler. You don't need to be in weekly feuds. It does
Maybe a
nothing.
new Fozzy song.
No,
I
you're a
totally
horrible
hear you.
singer.
Nobody
You're not
wants that.
good.
This is a
Bro, I
joke.
watched
Nobody
his I
wants that.
watched his cover of He Ruined the Weekend song. Whoever went to that cruise with him, I deeply apologize for
My,
you.
my,
That
can
man
I
can't sing for nothing. I saw him on a Masked Singer. He's garbage.
can I tell you my favorite comment was, if I was on that cruise, I'd jump overboard. That was the comment based on that video.
Well, while we're burying Chris Jericho, even Bobby Batito is not a fan of the
Bro,
feud between the
Bobby.
It's
Callis
the
family and
story
Chris
that won't
Jericho.
end.
And if you moved Bobby into negativity, that it's not good anymore.
It's the story that won't end. No one cares. At this point, no one cares about this Callis
I
feud with
leave my
Jericho.
compass on give it a chance at Bobby's out. I'm out.
Coach 23 said right here, Jericho's ego is too big not to wrestle.
There
That's
it
what it
is.
is. That's what it is.
Bang
And
bang choo choo
I'll,
train.
I'll even cut a person like Jeff Hardy slack because Jeff Hardy is not a selfish wrestler. He's more of a selfless wrestler. He has lost every match that he's been a part of. My critique on him is just the fact that it pains me to see him not being able to do what he needs to do as a wrestler. Jericho can work at a certain pace, but he feels of some sort of pride that he needs to overtake up and coming wrestlers that are talented on AEW, rather giving them the rub. And it's pointless. It benefits nobody. I don't like it.
I can't lie to you, Shad. We are having some technical difficulties here because I was like, where did Coach 23 say this? And that comment came up right in the middle of your explanation of
I
the
got my
call.
I got my telephone on the side, so don't worry
It's
about it.
not easy, man. Here we're doing our absolute best. I'm sorry, everybody. If we don't get to your comments, that's on me. Let's run through this though because we promised you Throwback Thursday and we need to get there.
I'll make
Okay.
this
Get there.
We've also got the Bang Bang Scissor Gang promo, as we like to call them. I did get to scissor with Mr. Billy Gunn over at All Out in 2023 in September. I don't know why they did this. I don't get it. But can you explain, Anthony? Explain.
This is the main shuffle. This was a completely wasted spot. I don't understand why they did this. I don't care about whatever they're doing. You have two groups, both with 6-man tag belts, which I'm assuming at some point they're going to feud and get rid of the Ring of Honor ones, because Ring of Honor is the stepchild that Tony Khan doesn't seem to care about. So I'm assuming they're going to get rid of those belts. This was a segment to get over cardboard cutouts. I don't get why they wasted this. This could have been on Rampage. No one watches Rampage anyway. Waste it on there. Waste it online. Don't waste it in prime real estate of your biggest show of the week in Dynamite. I don't know what this was to do. The funniest part about it was Billy Gunn saying to his son that he was doing the two words long before he was around. And I'm not getting into that because I know this is, we can't say this on air, but I mean, that was the funniest part of this whole thing. But I wouldn't have wasted TV time on this. It achieved nothing, it built to nothing. I don't get why they did it. And I think they just we have dead air to fill. That's what it felt like to me.
I totally hear you. Scissor me, Daddy Anthony. I'm with you on that.
Break it down.
Let's
Dun, dun,
let's do yeah.
dun,
Break it
dun,
down.
dun,
Let's
dun,
move on to
dun, dun.
yeah. No, that is
I gotta
exactly
be
how I
honest.
would have put it myself. Let's move on to the women's division.
Oh yeah, and my shovel went back in the shed right now for this
It's
topic.
back. We got the virtuosa. We've got Taya Valkyrie Shad. Let
What
me
she do?
know about it.
What does Deanna do to get out of here, you peasants?
You
Um,
peasants.
man, I really enjoyed this match, and I know a lot of people may have not feel the same way, but I like the match. I feel like Taya and Deanna have a solid chemistry amongst each other as competitors. I've loved the work that they've done previously on TNA Impact, and I thoroughly enjoy this streamline of matches and competition that Deanna is going through to get to Tony Storm. Um, it it is telling that the ranking system is back because it gives you a reason for Deanna to try to climb up, rack up wins to get to the high spot to get this opportunity for a title match. It has to be earned, it's not given, and I appreciate that. Deanna is what Deanna is, man. She is a sound in-ring worker. She's one of the best in-ring workers in women's wrestling, and she did what she needs to do. She got another W. Tony Storm, always entertaining as ever on weekly television. She is the theatrics, the funny stuff she says. It's great, and it's cool to see that AEW has finally given us a well built women's feud week upon week upon week. We are almost a month going into it. We're getting closer to Revolution. By the time it's set up, it is something that we are enticed about and we're ready for. I like that. I love the promo package that Deanna had prior to it. It's solid. Taya Valkyrie. Let me say this, man. This is a woman who is very talented. She's a person that has great with character work, and she's an incredible in-ring worker as well. This is a new storyline. This is a new type of gimmick that they got her tied with John Morrison. And it's kind of like a little bit of a knockoff Miz and Maurice a little bit, but it's cool. I love to see her on television. I want to see her more on Dynamite. I feel like she's one of these people, like I spoke about last week with a Red Velvet, that's super talented. Is good bell to bell as a performer, but she's very good as a character as well. I mean, she did incredible work on Impact, and I would like to see her more on Dynamite. You know, Collision. I want to see her more on weekly television. There is like a crop of women that are on that ROH roster that are better than a lot of women that I see on the A Dynamite roster that get on weekly television. You got her, you got Athena. Like, let's get them in position. Let's get them as viable competitors for the TBS title, for the AEW women's title. Like, you need to give the women more time, but I will say they're slowly but surely getting better at it. And I did enjoy this match. So overall, kudos to him, man. Tony Storm is doing God's work. I think she is the most entertaining
She's
women's wrestler.
ready.
And my one thing I will say, I fear is that I don't think Deanna's gonna beat her because she's just so over as a superstar. And she should beat Deanna for it. Truth be told, I weeks ago I said Deanna's a threat, and she's definitely a threat to her title. I feel like you can't argue and not be second guess that she might beat Tony, but I don't see a way that Tony's losing that title unless someone who can outstar her comes to fruition. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's one of those things where Tony Storm basically won the home run derby in '98 with this character. She's Ken Griffey Jr.,
Hmm.
right? Like '98 was all about, oh, McGuire and Sosa. Oh, no, no, no. She's Ken Griffey Jr. She won the
Yep.
derby. She found it, and it's undeniable just how good Tony Storm has been since she's changed the entire gimmick. It's
She
she's
she she found her character.
it,
That's the gist of it. She found her
it
character.
it's
it
absolutely brilliant.
it's crazy to me. I'll say this: I
Yes.
would have never thought from her time on NXT UK, NXT, and even her short stint on the main roster that she has as much charisma as she has. Like I'm honestly wowed by the character work she's doing. She's doing better than a lot of women may have. And like how I give my praise to what Swerve does on the men's division as a marquee signing that AEW has, Tony's the same way. She's arguably the best WWE talent that Tony picked up on the AEW on from the WWE side.
And
Like
similar to the Swerve narrative, was not the
yeah,
same was not the same character when she started on AEW. There was a time
I
where it
think
was
Swerve
Tony
has kind of
Storm.
been. I feel like Swerve's genius has always been there. I think Tony
See, I'll tell you this though. Tony
brought it a
Storm
little bit.
was in the title match at All Out in 2022, carrying the belt against Jamie Hayter
Hmm.
as just Tony Storm, and
Yeah,
we were complaining about it. And
no,
that
for
is
sure.
not that long ago.
It's 2 years
And it's
ago,
similar to Swerve, where you
two and
found
a half.
someone found Tony, Swerve both found a honey spot where
This the same way like The Rock
it's working.
found The Rock.
Yep,
Like from the transition from Rocky Maivia to The Rock, and he was off to the races once he found that character.
absolutely. Okay, we
Everything's
gotta
working
get to
for her. Salute
throwback,
to her.
guys.
Yeah.
Gotta get to throwback, and it's a good throwback. It's a great throwback. It's the Mega Powers explode. If you don't know about the Mega Powers, it's the Macho Man, Randy Savage, and
Macho
Hulk
Man Randy
Hogan
Savage.
Oh yeah.
as a team.
Yeah.
And the team explodes in a multi-person match. Tossed to the outside, Miss Elizabeth knocked down. Hogan brings her to the back. Just trying to be a buddy. Macho Man didn't like it so much. Anthony, the Mega Powers explode. Whoops.
Yeah. This is a very unique situation. For younger viewers that don't really or don't understand the gravity of this, they're just going, "Oh, it's the Macho Man and Hulk Hogan." You think about it. This was the two biggest stars in the company, baby faces. This would be the equivalent of like Austin and Rock teaming together, or Cena and Randy Orton, or like now maybe Cody and CM Punk. Like the biggest draws were together as a team. The interesting part with this, uh, you know, WWE's famous for taking real life situations and turning them into stories. Everyone talks about the real life heat between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, which added to the whole Montreal screw job and everything. This is one of those earlier ones that is very underrated because it was built on the foundation of, in real life, Randy was insanely protective of Elizabeth, uh, to the point where he was afraid that somebody on the roster was going to uh, do business with Elizabeth. So they built that up, and Randy and Hulk were friends outside the ring, but there's always been that on again, off again relationship in real life with the two of them. So the funny part is when I was refreshing my memory with the Mega Powers, they did not tag that often. It was a very short lived but iconic situation. Randy was the WWF champion at the time. He won it at WrestleMania 4. This would all lead to a WrestleMania 5 match with Hogan, where Hogan would go over. They would probably wrestle each other and tag together more after this, either at house shows or, of course, in WCW. But they had a very unique relationship. Hogan says that they had made peace before Randy's passing. I don't know whether or not that actually happened or not, because it's not like Randy ever publicly made a statement of saying he was good with Hogan. If anything, he said the opposite. A lot of the times he did a rap against them. I mean, the Mega Powers exploding was a major match. And Randy was very meticulous in everything he did, which made him so great. But also, a lot of the bad stuff that comes up about the overprotectiveness of Elizabeth comes into play. Matter of fact, I think there is a Randy Savage biography coming out soon. I think around WrestleMania. But it is one of the most iconic team ups and breakups of all time in wrestling.
100%. And I mean, even Coach 23, our good buddy, added that it broke his heart the first time he saw it over on Instagram. And he said it was one of the first soap opera stories in WWE history. That's absolutely true. It was just wild. I mean, one of those things you don't expect. I was like so young, it was over my head. So I was all about like, who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? Little did I know we'd end up with like cheesy elbow and a leg drop. And then that's it. And a big boot, I guess, along the way.
The most famous line of that was that you have lust in your eyes.
Yeah.
It was the most iconic line.
He's got lust in his eyes. It's one of the best. Shad, your memories of the Mega Powers. Also, by the way, funny side note, you mentioned how little they teamed. I go probably the least amount of times to team for a tag team in wrestling history that has a Wikipedia page. I'm just saying, in my research, they've got their own Wikipedia page.
I believe on TV they only tagged 3 times.
Yeah, I mean they were, man. It's just the story upon it, man. It's one of those situations like where you don't. It's always tied to the woman at heart within it, and I feel bad that we hit. Some people always have stuff to say about Miss Elizabeth towards it, but it's just one of those situations, man, where I don't know, like you see two guys who come up together and it created whatever it may be, and I was so young for it, man. Like I don't even know, it was when like the early '90s, right? Like I was probably
89. Yep.
Well, yeah, I wasn't even born at the
Just
time.
you were like -2, I think.
I didn't grow up watching it, to be honest with you. I heard about it upon my brother and my uncle, and obviously researching up on it and whatnot. And it's one of those crazy situations where I always feel Randy it kind of gets the hate of it at that time. A lot of people kind of look at him in a negative limelight towards it for how he acts, and then just to kind of see the story of Randy Savage within that and how he's been able to keep that beef going on with him for the longest time until unfortunately he had to pass and whatnot. And the craziest thing to me is like you mentioned his diss song. Like I remember that album, bro, and I remember listening to "Be a Man, Hogan," where he he had his diss song to him. I was like 10 or 11. I thought that was the most funniest thing ever, bro.
Dude,
Like I still bump it. Like yeah, he has some bars on it. Like
the saddest thing in the
Rodney
world.
Dangerfield, you get no respect.
The saddest thing in the world when you think about it in hindsight is that the majority of the end of the rivalry actually played out on Bubba the Love Sponge and not in professional wrestling. That's like it's almost tragic in some ways when you think about them as both legends. It's just a weird one. Like you're like, and that's no knock on Bubba the Love Sponge. Obviously, he's successful in Tampa as a. No, don't get me wrong. I've heard he's a scumbag, but I don't know him personally. And
Hogan's a scumbag.
well, yeah, both.
I mean, when you think about it, Randy was always such a perfectionist, but he was always number 2 to Hogan. And I
Right.
think, if you ask fans like now that really kind of look back, of the two, Randy was the better talent of the two. Like
Easily,
his
without a
stuff
doubt.
from
Oh,
the
no
promos
question.
to the matches hold up way better than anything Hogan did.
There's easy criticism on both, though. You know, you have the famous
Oh yeah,
Randy used to be so OCD, he had to write out all his matches.
scripted.
Hogan called everything in the ring. Both stylistically, I thought Savage put on the better matches personally, but I mean,
Randy was the better professional wrestler in my opinion. For me at least, I feel like he
yeah,
did everything to a T better. I thought he had better matches. I think character wise, promo wise, he was way more fluid. Hulk Hogan was just the babyface that people loved. You know, the whole aspect of the real American at that time. Like
yep,
the superhero is no different than what like John Cena to people within our time frame and whatnot. Like people,
vitamins and prayers, man.
yeah,
It works.
and it's one of those situations like you don't want to know what your idol is as a person. I'll say that and I'll leave it at that.
Hey, listen,
Absolutely.
one last thing before we
Go ahead.
Want to give a shout out to our guy that Clark and I met.
Oh,
that
fake
was
Macho
in character
from
the-
WrestleMania.
from WrestleMania. Literally,
Shout
was
out Fake
in-
Macho. He was
Was
great.
literally in character the entire time.
Excellent impressionist. I got to give him credit.
Yes.
Okay, but that seriously does bring us to the end of the show. Guys, if you haven't liked and subscribed already, please do. That means the world to us. If you want to tune in tomorrow, different time, same place, noon Pacific. That's 3 on the East Coast, 2 Central. That's 8 o'clock over in the UK, and that's 9 a.m. in Hawaii. On behalf of me, Clark Taylor, Anthony Ricciardi, Shad, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, we'll see you soon.